I will never, ever, ever begrudge Black folks and folks of color for saying they do not trust white people. And a terribly upsetting example of that is what happened in Nolan Wells. He spent 4th of July weekend with 3 of his friends who he thought were friends, and they are white. He is Black. And Nolan Wells died. We don't know what happened. I'm not going to speculate. That doesn't do anything for anybody. But we as white people have not given people of color, especially Black folks in America, any reasons to trust us as a collective group of people. Full stop. And if you are a white person and you are bothered when Black folks say they don't trust white people, think of this moment. Think of the unfortunately countless other moments in American history where white people have been instigators of violent crimes against Black people. Because whether you like it or not, that is American history. It is. And you can't escape it. But we can do something to change it. And that starts with every one of us white people interrogating the white supremacist ideologies that we were raised with and our society was built upon, and it is our job to undo it.
I know that certain white people, men specifically, people that are conservative, people that are able to think differently than whatever the mass media is trying to program you to think, whatever they trying to program y'all to think on social media. I know y'all are sick of liberal white women apologists, because on one hand, she says that she's not going to speculate. She doesn't have an opinion yet. But at the same time, they up here calling for justice, and they don't even know what the cause of death is. As of the recording of this video, right? Nobody knows exactly what happened. There's an active investigation going on. But we're so focused on racism and trying to make everything a Black versus white conversation, right? We're so focused on trying to make everything a liberal talking point. We're so focused on trying to make sure that everybody understands that you, as a white woman, you're not a racist. You're not one of them. We don't understand. We have to use our privilege in order to try to feel some type of emotion or find some kind of justice or interrogate everybody. And I'm telling you, bro, it's these liberal white apologists and the culture is the ones that keep making everything a race issue.
These kids hadn't been threatened and lied on. And why do you say lied on, Brandon? They have shown me evidence. I have seen and verified evidence. There is Life 360 evidence. There is CETO call evidence that proves what they're saying, and that people have been lying about them so long that they need to take legal action against people. These boys had not been lied on and threatened in front of me. I saw threats coming in. But the fact that they now got to sue people, and Nolan Wells' family and attorney is prepping to sue them with no information of what happened to Nolan, whether he was killed or he drowned, they don't even care. They're trying to make money, so they're going to sue these boys. Then I wouldn't even support this. If these boys were Black, and you got white folk out here claiming they didn't kill somebody with no evidence, only because they're Black, put the GoFundMe up there. Here's a glimpse of some of the things that they're getting as hate mail.
Don't try and run now, you. Your son is a piece of shit, and he's about to get all the way up. Don't run now, you. Use a punk just like your son, you guys are gonna get what the coming to you. I know he killed that little kid, man. You guys aren't your wife ain't all you racist pieces of all you.
All right, next one.
You and your folks think y'all ass so smart, so slick. All this other your son gonna get the worst of it, and he know it. Your sons and them gonna disable their account and all this other Bruce style. Your scared to answer their phone cause you know what's going on, and ain't nobody scared of y'all white ass to be worried about that boy. God, I promise you something gonna happen to you. And you might want to go and block me, because I swear to God, I'm gonna call your phone every day until they come clean.
Do you know how hateful and racist these people are to come call somebody and say that to them? They deactivate their accounts because they're getting threatened like this. They deactivate their account because y'all fools calling them and want to talk about you gonna kill them because they get accused of murder. They're being accused of murder. Y'all, they didn't even go to the funeral. Cause y'all threatened to kill them.
20-something friends, 3 boats, 300 witnesses, and not one person can tell you they saw him leave or saw him stay. That's it. That's the whole case. That's why we're still here a month later. Since then, a man in California got arrested for threatening a judge over this. Lawyers have sent letters over people posting home addresses online. The FBI got pulled in over threats to witnesses. 60 people interviewed. 2 autopsies. 1 came back undetermined. The other one is finished and sitting in a drawer until a grand jury opens it. And all of it keeps circling back to 37 seconds of a phone call. Bad audio. Voices behind voices. 3 different people have cleaned it up now. 3 different results. Nobody official has confirmed a single word of it. That's the biggest piece of Hewish. You know how we do this? Confirmed on one side, claimed on the other, and we don't let them mix. That's not us being careful for no reason. People who mix them in this case have had their addresses posted, and lawyers come after them. We've been on Nolan Wells for weeks now. If you've been with us, tonight picks up right where we left off. If you're new, you're fine. Just subscribe and you'll catch every update. Plenty has changed since last time. Most of it isn't what the internet is telling you. One reaction video did more to spread this case than most news coverage did. A woman filming in her kitchen, no research team, no legal training, asking one question over and over. Why call a towing company instead of emergency services? It is a fair question. It also has an answer. That call was placed around 4 in the afternoon, and it was not about a missing person. A bilge pump had failed, and the boat was taking on water.
Is there trauma to the body? Is there something that happened?
I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it.
I have no doubt that what we're listening to and what she did is credible.
Not only has the timeline been analyzed by the Cajun Navy, the U.S. Cajun Navy, based on all sorts of statistical data, new photos are emerging. Take a look at this photo before we go to the Cajun Navy. Look at this. Check out what you're seeing. Look at all the boats surrounding where Nolan was. Leave up the photo out to Caitlin Becker, senior national correspondent, New York Post, star of New York Postcast, their new podcast. Caitlin, what are we seeing?
Well, what we're seeing here comes from this new report from the United Cajun Navy, and you're seeing several boats strung together. This is one of the first images that we've seen of this certain configuration of boats there. They're all identified, one of which was the boat that Nolan came out there on. There's several others kind of anchored with it and tied up, which begs the question of where was Nolan when this photo was taken, because it's unclear if he's actually in it. What time was this photo actually taken? So what you're seeing here is, as you said, a potential pool of witnesses.
Hey, Caitlin, look at this. There's boat number 1. There's boat X. There's boat number 2. There's boat number 3. And there's a boat from which the photo is taken. Now, look in the water. There much has been made. Nolan Wells was drinking. Okay, well, apparently everybody was. They all have containers, open containers in the water. Okay, as far as I know, that's not a felony. Boat number 1, full of people. Boat X, full of people. Boat number 2, full of people. Boat number 3, full of people. People on the boat from which the photo was taken. Some of these boats tied together. You know what that means in my world, Caitlin Becker, joining us in the New York Post? Let me see, Caitlin, please. That means witnesses. See, when I look at that, I see witnesses. Other people say, hey, there's people having a good time. I see witnesses. Do you see all those people?
And a lot of them.
Who were they? Have they been spoken to? Have they been polygraphed? What can they tell me?
That is the question, right? We don't know from an investigative standpoint who has been spoken to, exactly who is in this photo, and what they have or haven't told law enforcement, because there hasn't been really any transparency there. But from what our reporting has showed, there have been dozens of people who have spoken to law enforcement as witnesses. But Nancy, we don't know if it's any of these people that you're seeing in this little cove area right here. And the timing, I think, is really important because these images are taken right around, I think the timeline's about 3:30-ish, 4:30-ish, when the boat that Nolan came out there on leaves and starts taking on water. That's one of the pegs for the timeline. When these photos were actually taken, that is a peg for a timeline. But what we don't know is where Nolan is. There he is. You can see that image right there. But we don't know is where Nolan was when that first image that we saw with all of those boats kind of tied together, when that was taken.
You are seeing a photo obtained by our friends at the United Cajun Navy. And speaking of the United Cajun Navy, joining me now is Brian Trasher, Vice President, United Cajun Navy. And for all of you attacking the United Cajun Navy, let's see that aerial footage they provided us. This is from the Cajun Navy describing their search, their aerial search. They spotted Nolan Wells' body. They have been integral in the search for Nolan Wells and helping elucidate the facts as we know them. Brace yourself, Trasher. Everybody else is getting death threats. You might as well join the party. To you, Brian Trasher, the United Cajun Navy has come up with a timeline. Now, did I hear Caitlin Becker from the New York Post correctly that that photo where the boats are named Boat 1, Boat 2, Boat 3, and Boat X, is that from you guys, the United Cajun Navy?
First of all, I want to thank you for calling this report what it is, and it's a timeline. And some people have called it an investigative report, and that's not accurate because, as you know, we're not investigators. And what we did, Nancy, was we asked our followers, say, hey, if anybody was there that day, you have pictures, videos, whatever, send it to us just so we can go through it, see if there's anything relevant. We took all that information and compiled it into just one digestible report of things we thought were relevant and could be helpful. Maybe they're not. Maybe law enforcement's already seen all this and it's nothing new to them. But we just wanted to be transparent about what we received. So going back to your question, the pictures that we received, we did not, as an organization, take any of these photographs. These are all images that we received from people who were trying to help us out and trying to help Nolan's family out.
So you asked the public for help, and you got it. You got a treasure trove of photos, and I find this one significant. Guys, we've got an all-star panel, and I would like the all-star panel to look at their screens, because I've talked about this before, Brian Trasher, and I'm frankly fed up with attacks on the United Cajun Navy. They're doing something, which is more than all of the haters can say. They're doing something. They have amassed evidence. They have created a timeline to the best of their ability. They have shared it with us, unlike the autopsy that is complete is being kept secret from us. That said, they're helping. Why trash them? That's, I'm not a shrink. I can't answer that. Let's look at this photo and determine what, if anything, we can discern. Brian, you and I have talked many, many times, and I told you about a serial killer I finally convicted on one case. The jury convicted him. And I proved a lot because of one earring I found in a particular location. The victim was wearing an earring, and the other earring had been sliced out of her ear, and I found it somewhere else, and I learned a lot because of where it was. Now, don't even bother to tell me that this photo that you have produced is not probative of something. The cluster of boats. Number one, I see a lot of witnesses. Trasher, do we know what time this photo was taken?
We don't know definitively times on all these because even though they're time stamped, it could be a time when it was screenshotted, stamped, not necessarily the original photograph. So we were very careful to denote that in our report that we can't verify timelines, although based on shadows and positions and things like that, we can determine that some of these, as noted, are taken in the late afternoon. One of the things I thought was interesting about some of these photos we got, Nancy, was that a lot of the photos we had seen before were people like in waist deep water. Well, some of the photos we provided show people up, water up to their chest, almost to their neck. And that's not really wading. That's treading water, in my opinion. And that I thought might have been significant to know that many people were, perhaps enjoying some libations, but also in water that might have been a little too deep just to be playing in.
Good point. You also said something else really smart. And I certainly do not want to rely on this, but sometimes you have to, you take the evidence as you find it and you make the most of what you've got. You said you could tell this was late in the afternoon because of the shadowing. I wonder if the tide could tell me anything because how high up the water is. But these people holding drinks, they're not treading water, Trasher. They're standing there. These people are not treading water, and the water is up to their armpits. Is that the photo you're talking about as to where you think some of them are treading water, or are there other photos?
The photo at the top, yeah, you're right. It's about up to their armpit. I think there was one later in the report that that showed some of the kids. This was a screenshot of a social media post, and there's 3 boats visible, one fourth boat further in the distance, but a lot of kids on one boat. I say kids, young people on one boat, some on the boat, some in the water. And some of them, it looks, maybe up to the armpit, but some of them, depending on their own height, it looks like it's, I could see a girl holding something in her hand and the water looks to be pretty close to her neck. So that's pretty far out. Now, we've said several times that Horn Island has a very aggressive slope. So you can be in shallow water and deep water within just a few steps. And once you get into that deep water, you're not as able to keep your feet on the ground if a current comes and pulls you, or God forbid a riptide comes and drags you. So that's why we thought it was significant to know that they were socializing in fairly deep water.
Can we go back to the main photo where the boats are numbered 1, 2, 3, X? Isn't it true, Brian Trasher, that these boats are easily identifiable by I call it a tail number, like you would a plane? Every boat has to be registered or supposed to be registered. It has a number on it. It often has a name like Triton. One was named Mac Daddy. There were other names. They're registered, and you know who the owner is, and the owner can tell us who was on the boat that day. Is that correct?
Theoretically, yeah. If you can make out the registration number or the name of the boat, if the vessel's name is registered, along with the registration number. Usually that's sometimes only on a Coast Guard document, but sometimes on a state registration, you do put the vehicle, the boat name if it's asked for, or if you have one. So that is all possible. I'm told, and we're asked to compare notes with the sheriff's office, which we're doing. But I was told that there's been a lot of people that have been contacted and interviewed, and there's a lot of people who were there that day that voluntarily came forward to tell what they know, and because they might have seen their boats and pictures, said, "Oh, we might want to go ahead and call them, and let them know, where we were, who was with us, and what we know." So I commend those people for coming forward because it's not always easy.
Sea tow is a private marine towing service. That is precisely what you call when a vessel is going down and you need it pulled in. Nolan was not reported missing until that night. The United Cajun Navy released what a lot of people immediately started calling an investigative report. Brian Trasher, the organization's vice president, corrected that himself on air. It is a timeline. They are not investigators, and he said so plainly. Here is what it actually is. They asked their followers a simple question. If you were out there that day, and you have photos or video, send them in. What came back got compiled into one organized document. Trasher was upfront that they cannot verify most of the timestamps, because a screenshot carries the time it was screenshotted, not the time the picture was taken. That is an unusually honest way to release crowdsourced material in a case like this one. Then there is the photo. Several boats anchored close together, some tied off, people scattered across them and in the water between them. Caitlin Becker of the New York Post walked through it. Nancy Grace looked at the same image and read it differently than most people online did. She did not see a crime scene. She saw a witness list nobody has worked through. Nancy Grace's own producer, identified on air only as Sydney, ran her own pass at the same recording. She muted the dispatcher entirely and raised the volume on everything else. That makes 3 people who have now independently attempted this. Which raises a question worth sitting with. Janetta Brantley did this work first, under her own name, and she has the background for it. 16 years in audio, a degree in music production from Full Sail, a career built on dialogue cleanup and post-production. She spent 9 hours on a 37-second stretch of that call. She stated plainly that she used traditional processing, subtractive EQ, compression, noise reduction, frequency isolation, and that she deliberately did not touch the AI tools available to her. She was accused of doctoring it anyway. Russell Latino, the attorney representing one of the young men, called the recording illegitimate on national television and described it as doctored audio paired with a fabricated transcript. Then Nancy Grace's producer did comparable work, and the reception was different.
Vicky speaking. How can I help you? Hello, sir.
Hello. Okay.
How many adults on board?
There are 0 adults on board.
There's nobody on board the boat?
No. Nobody
right.
here is over the age of 21.
Sir, that was not the question. Is there a person? Is there a person, a living individual on the boat?
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please come? We have a membership.
All right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles?
What'd you say? Hey.
Yes. How far is the water coming up, sir?
It's coming up. We're just sinking. I don't know. Like we're going down now.
All right. Well, let's get you going. Membership number or phone number listed on the account, sir.
I don't know the phone number. It's either Jerry Atkerson. I think it's Jerry Atkerson. Try that.
All right.
I know we have a membership, like guaranteed. I don't
All
have
right.
the tag
Unless
on
you
here.
have a membership number or anything, it's okay. I'll get you over to the captain. What's the best phone number to reach you at?
Reach me at 2.
All right. And is everybody on board in good health otherwise?
Yeah, everybody's
How
on
many?
board.
All right. Do you need the United States Coast Guard?
What?
Do you need the United States Coast Guard?
No, we do not need that.
All right. All right. Do you have your current GPS coordinates?
Let me go look.
If not, I can send you a text message.
North. All right, are you ready?
Yes, sir. I'm available.
North 3 degrees by 4672.
All right. 4672. All right. And you were breaking up a little bit. Can you just repeat it one more time to make sure I have it correct?
Sorry, look.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, what?
So you're breaking up. If you need assistance, do you have a VHF radio?
No, we do not have the VHF radio.
All right. Well, let's try to get you going because you don't have good cell phone reception. Can you verify your coordinates one more time?
Okay, my coordinates are 30 degrees by 14.684 north, and then west by 88 degrees by 46.79.
Right. Looks like you're on Horn Island, correct? Are you
Yes,
on
we are
Horn
at Horn
Island?
Island. Yes.
All right. Is the boat sinking or you have it aground?
We are sinking, yes.
Is it aground is the question?
No, we're not aground. We are in
Okay.
17 foot of water. We're in 31 foot of water.
All right. Have to ask. What do you want to do? Do you want to be towed back?
I want to get this boat unsank and towed back, yes.
All right. Where would you like it towed to, sir?
You can tow it to Ocean Springs Harbor or Fort Bayou Launch.
All right. How many adults and children on board?
No, there's no children.
So is there anybody on board? How many adults, sir? That was the question. Hello, can you hear me?
Try to jump in and pull the plug, Bart, while you're going.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Yep, I just need you to answer these questions so I can get you over to the captain.
Okay.
How many
what's
adults
going
on board?
What's up? There are 0 adults on board.
There's nobody on board the boat?
No. Nobody
right.
here is over the age of 21.
Sir, that was not the question. Is there a person? Is there a person, a living individual on the boat?
Hello?
Is there a living person, someone breathing on the boat? Is there anybody on the boat?
Yes, there's lots of people breathing on the boat.
All right, how many people, sir?
Like 7.
All right, thank you. Does everyone have life jackets on or available to them?
Yes, we have life jackets available.
All right, verify what boat's sinking.
A Triton, 22-foot offshore, 22-foot Triton offshore sea flight hull.
All right. All right. Please hold. I'm transferring you to the local captain now.
Okay, thank
This is Captain Seth.
Hi, Captain Seth. This is Vicky from International. How you doing today?
Doing good. How are you?
Good, good. I apologize ahead of time. I really do. You're going to have a fee-for-service come up under Jerry.
Okay.
It sounds like a bunch of kids on board on Horn Island. He's letting me know that his father's a member, but he can't give me any information. And he's saying the boat is sinking, and he's on Horn Island. It's just unfortunate. He's just a kid. There's a lot going on. So
Right.
he said there's about a lot of people on board. He says he thinks about 7. I'm guessing they're all under 18.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to be rude. He wants you guys to go out there and unpump the boat and then tow it in.
Do you know what kind of boat it is?
He said a Triton 24-footer, but that's all he can give me.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I just actually got off the phone with his grandpa, who I'm guessing is the owner of the boat, and
Is it
he
Jerry?
said that Jerry. Yeah, he said
Okay.
I just hung up with him. He said that they don't need any help right now, but if something changes, he'll call me back. So
All
I'm
right.
guessing that they may have figured it out, because that's what he said. So they're in a panic and their boat won't crank.
Yeah,
Or,
they're in a panic. He's saying the
So-
bilge is not keeping up. I asked for Coast Guard. He said no, but he's just really upset on the back end. And, I get it. It's a
Okay.
kid. He just doesn't understand.
oh, okay. Do you still have him on the line?
Yes, I still have him on the line. And, again, I couldn't find he couldn't give me anything regarding his grandfather's, membership, so it's just under Jerry fee-for-service.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I just talked to. If you want to, we're so tied up right now. We can't really do any non-member jobs right now.
Is Jerry a member? Did you find out if he was a member or not?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's his boat or what. I'm not sure what's going on with it. But yeah, transfer the kid over. I'll talk to him, and then I'll call his grandpa back as well.
All right. And did you want me to look up Jerry's membership number or anything like that to see if he's up? I know you guys are
You can
smart.
try this cell phone number.
Yes, sir.
Anything on this phone number.
All right. Yep. Jerry. Yeah, he's an active member. Hold on.
What kind of boat do you have on there? Same boat?
Yeah, he's one of your members. Yep, 22-foot Triton. All right. I'll just disregard this one. I'm gonna send you over an accurate one under this Jerry Ackerson one. Okay, he's one of your members. You'll get in a couple minutes. Okay.
Okay, perfect. All right, and yeah, just transfer this kid over whenever you get a chance.
All right, transferring now. Thank you again, Captain.
All
Stay
righty.
safe out there. It's crazy. Have a drink.
Oh, it's wild.
So here is the part that actually matters, and it applies to every version equally. Turning up the volume does not add information. It amplifies everything at once, including wind, water, engine noise, and voices talking over each other. The human brain is extremely good at hearing words inside noise that contains none. That is not an insult to anyone's ears. It is how hearing works. 3 attempts, 3 different results, nothing forensically confirmed. Bart Edmiston Jr. is 21. According to a statement from his family, here is what he did once investigators came asking. He sat for interviews. He answered every question. He handed over his phone and let them look through it. He turned over the photos and videos they asked for. He allowed them to inspect his boat and his GPS device. He did all of that without a warrant, without hesitation, and without an attorney in the room. He also compiled a list of potential witnesses himself and gave it to them. His family believes more than 20 people across 2 vessels watched what he actually did that afternoon. What he did was this. He boarded the boat that was taking on water, removed its transom plug, got back on his own boat, and towed the other one a short distance so the water could drain out. That is what removing a transom plug is for. Pull it, get moving, and the water leaves through the hole. That is why Cito never arrived. The request was canceled. The call canceling it came from Jerry Adkerson, reported to be the boat operator's grandfather. He was not on the water.
That means witnesses. See, when I look at that, I see witnesses. Other people say, hey, there's people having a good time. I see witnesses. Do you see all those people?
And a lot of them.
Who were they? Have they been spoken to? Have they been polygraphed? What can they tell me?
That is the question, right? We don't know from an investigative standpoint who has been spoken to, exactly who is in this photo, and what they have or haven't told law enforcement, because there hasn't been really any transparency there. But from what our reporting has showed, there have been dozens of people who have spoken to law enforcement as witnesses. But Nancy, we don't know if it's any of these people that you're seeing in this little cove area right here. And the timing, I think, is really important because these images are taken right around, I think the timeline's about 3:30-ish, 4:30-ish, when the boat that Nolan came out there on leaves and starts taking on water. That's one of the pegs for the timeline. When these photos were actually taken, that is a peg for a timeline. But what we don't know is where Nolan is. There he is. You can see that image right there. But we don't know is where Nolan was when that first image that we saw with all of those boats kind of tied together, when that was taken.
You are seeing a photo obtained by our friends at the United Cajun Navy. And speaking of the United Cajun Navy, joining me now is Brian Trasher, Vice President, United Cajun Navy. And for all of you attacking the United Cajun Navy, let's see that aerial footage they provided us. This is from the Cajun Navy describing their search, their aerial search. They spotted Nolan Wells' body. They have been integral in the search for Nolan Wells and helping elucidate the facts as we know them. All those people in my book are witnesses. One of them is saying at 7:30, Nolan was nowhere to be seen. Now, I want to see the video or the photo again, because you want to tell me that this guy, Nolan Wells, hit his head and drowned, and none of those people saw what happened? I find that really hard to believe.
It is hard to believe, and that's why it's extremely important that the law enforcement are not too proud to get help from the public. Like you said, if people are sending in videos, they should be using those videos to conduct further investigation. I'm praying that this is a situation like Brian Koberger, where the police department, they were being ragged and being called ranky-dink police, while all the time they were investigating and putting together a case against him. I hope that, because all the time they were saying, oh, what are they doing? It was I think the DA had a long, big beard, which wasn't very conducive to believing he knew what he was doing, but they knew what they were doing.
I know, it looked like Leonard Skinner sitting there. Hey, that videos from Officer Tatum's podcast, all this means witnesses to me. And do you remember in the Diddy case, there was actually a toll-free number for victims to call? There were that many victims, not that it helped at the trial, but that said, I think there needs to be a toll-free number. If you think you have evidence dial the number. If you have photos like the United Cajun Navy is doing, they asked for the public's help. They got the public's help, and there's more to get. That's what is needed now. Every picture, every video. How often have cases been cracked when someone spots something in a picture they hadn't noticed before, or their memory is jogged by a photo or information they've seen online? I've pointed to this a million times. Brian Trasher, the Gabby Petito case. Her body would never have been found if it weren't for amateur sleuths. I believe their name is Red, Blue, and Methane. They were a couple out in the middle of nowhere in dispersed camping where there are no porta potties, no lights, no hookups, no anything. It's just you and the wild animals. I've camped and dispersed before. They're out there and they see a vehicle and they go, that's Gabby's Ford Transit. And they call authorities who would never have gone to this dispersed camping area, and they find her remains.
Katie McCormack has never spoken publicly about any of this. Not once. Everything the public knows about her side came through her sister Gracie, who spoke to the Daily Mail. What Gracie said is narrow and worth reading closely. Katie had a conversation with Nolan. Katie assumed he was getting ready to board the boat he came out on. Katie assumed the friends calling for him would not have left him behind. Assumed. Twice in one account. She does not say she watched him board. She says she expected he would, because his own friends were calling him over. Now set that beside what came from the other side. Warren, a friend who was out there, has said Nolan indicated he would catch a ride back with a different group. That is a decision. Somebody choosing to stay. Those two accounts do not accuse each other of anything, but they are not the same story. One has Nolan making a deliberate choice out loud. The other has a young woman who heard nothing of the sort and simply assumed the group would handle it. That gap is the real question in her part of this case, not the theory circulating online about matching swimsuits and a marina owner's name. Gracie McCormack has said Katie left with her brother and his fiancée. A former county prosecutor made the sharpest criticism anyone has made of this case, and it has nothing to do with the evidence. His point is that you can tell the public what you are doing without telling them what you found. How many search warrants have gone out? How many witnesses have been interviewed? How many tips have come in? Which kinds of experts have been brought in? Forensics, toxicology, digital. None of that reveals a single conclusion. All of it reveals effort. And from the outside, an investigation moving carefully and an investigation not moving at all look identical. District Attorney.
A community in mourning and demanding answers.
And we just want to know what happened to Nolan.
After the mysterious death of Mississippi teenager Nolan Wells following a boat trip with friends to Horn Island on the 4th of July. His mother contacted authorities late that night when he didn't come home.
Needs to report her 18-year-old son, Nolan Wells, missing passing at 3 on Horn Island.
Christine Wells Wansley told us she got a call Saturday night from one of the friends Nolan went to the island with.
What did he say?
He said, "Hey, Miss Christine, have you seen Nolan or talked to Nolan?" I said, "No, I thought he was with you guys, you know." He's like, "No, nobody's talked to him."
Early the next morning, Nolan's father, Elmore, says his son's high school football coach took him out on a boat to search.
Got out the boat, walked the island, and then got back on the boat and went around the island.
Did you see anything?
Nothing.
The Coast Guard and United Cajun Navy searching simultaneously, but it was a day later when Nolan's body was recovered.
There's basically a black hole between about 4:30 on the 4th of July in the afternoon until when Nolan was found.
Authorities have not released a cause of death.
Do you think there's a possibility that your son drowned accidentally?
Honestly, because of the way the stories are just so inconsistent and how that day went, it's just, we can't say for sure.
His grieving parents believe race may have been a factor in his death.
I don't want to believe it is, but unfortunately, there's evidence to show that things like this happen. He just had a big heart. To really know Nolan, to have him as your friend it was something special.
Do you worry that he might have trusted too much?
Sometimes, yeah. And that was something we always talked to him about.
Attorney Angel Myers McElrath has an answer. In Mississippi, the rules of professional conduct restrict what a prosecutor can release while an investigation is active. Her restraint, she said, is not an effort to keep the truth from the public. Law professor Matt Steffi backed that up. The standards for grand jury secrecy are high, and in his framing, the court of law takes precedence over the court of public opinion. Both of those things can be true. 6 days. 3 federal arrests. On July 30th, a man from Sacramento, California, was arrested after a federal grand jury indicted him on a felony count for allegedly sending threatening messages on Facebook to Ashley Cole, a Chancery Court judge whose son is friends with Nolan. His name is Joseph Dumars. The next day, a woman from Ohio was arrested for allegedly making bomb threats to the George County Chancery Clerk and the Jackson County Sheriff's Office. On August 4th, a man from Illinois was arrested and accused of threatening witnesses in the case. All 3 face charges of making interstate threatening communications. Alongside that, a fake toxicology report circulated widely online. It appears to have been generated by AI. State officials flagged it as misinformation. The FBI has been working the threats directly, in parallel with the county investigation. That is what happens when nobody with real information speaks. We are not going to be part of that. If this is the kind of breakdown you want when the next development lands, subscribe. A newly completed independent analytical review went through the photographs, the videos, the GPS coordinates, and the witness accounts. Its conclusion is a phrase worth understanding properly. A material gap remains in the timeline between Nolan's last independently corroborated sighting and the departure. A material gap is not an accusation. It does not mean anyone lied. It means that for a stretch of that afternoon, there is no independent record placing him anywhere. No photo, no video, no GPS ping. Nothing but accounts. Everything people have argued about for a month sits inside that window. The state autopsy is complete. It is sealed until the grand jury sees it. Attorneys on both sides are positioning for civil litigation. Nobody has been charged. Nobody with the authority to name a suspect has named one. What is left is the gap. Not a cover-up, not a confirmed accident. A window of time nobody can account for, waiting on 12 people in a room who will finally get to see everything the rest of us have not.